broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to our webinar this afternoon, everyone. Webinar is titled "The Digital Thread and What It Means to Your Business." And some of you might have an idea of what the digital thread is. Some of you may have heard of it, but are not really sure what it is. And even if you're an experienced person and totally understand the digital thread, this webinar is absolutely for all of you. Our presenter today is Swapan Jha, the Vice President for Worldwide PLM Sales and Strategy at PTC. And Swapan leads the go-to market team for PLM at PTC, and he's consistently evaluating manufacturing trends like Industry 4.0 and digital transformation and how they relate to companies of all sizes in manufacturing. So Swapan's going to present for about 25 minutes, and then we're going to have 5 minutes of Q&A. If you want to type a question in at any time in the dashboard, please do, and we'll answer it at the end. And everyone is going to be on mute during the presentation. And I'm going to pass everything over to Swapan, and then we'll get started. So Swapan, you have control, and thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Rob. Good afternoon and good morning from my friends on the West Coast. Let's get started. So the purpose of this webinar is to kind of give you a perspective as to what it means when we say digital thread. You know, I mean, you can't read any article without analysts talking about transformation. So I want to give you a perspective as to what can you do today in your company if you're manufacturing products. So what is digital thread? So you hear about smart connected products, means that products are getting smarter. We have, manufacturers putting sensors in there. So you can do various things, right? You can monitor, measure, and so on and so forth. Smart connected operations, the manufacturing is getting connected, which is the Industry 4.0. And then smart connected service, where you actually extend the product into the service field and use like remote service monitoring and all that. So that's what's happening at a highest level. And what digital thread does, it connects these pieces together. So you need the complete product record, which starts at the smart connected product definition, and then it goes through the transformation from design to manufacturing to service. You add more information, and the cycle goes on. And that allows our customers to do things like remote field service or production monitoring or product data usage. But for this to happen, you need the complete product record in a digital form where it actually starts at the beginning in the 3D models, and that's where the focus are on in terms of what you can do today. So systems and machines are smart today. They can do things that we couldn't do 10 years ago, even 5 years ago. However, the challenge has been that systems and machines can really not effectively communicate with each other, and I'll touch on that as we go through that. And that creates what I'll call the digital hole. Means that the intent of a design, when it starts, by the time it hits manufacturing and it hits the field or the shelf of the, if a consumer product, they're different. And that's the problem. So if you have played the game of telephone when you were a kid or maybe in college, it always ends up being a phrase said, by one child or one adult, or, and it turns out by the time it came out on the other side, it was completely different. And I have played this game, and sometimes on purpose, I'll change it up. And if you think about digital thread and in the manufacturing from design all the way to service, the product data gets changed for several reasons, right? So it never comes out the way the intent was, but it's something else. So what does that mean by that? So today, there are silos. There are process silos, there are organization silos. So, customer, quality, manufacturing, supplier, field design, there are different pieces to the puzzle. And we end up different set of processes, we end up different set of technologies. And when you start to go back to my original slide, which was around creating that digital thread, there's a set of challenges. So let's look at what I mean by that. So this is a quick representation of a potential process of designing on the left top all the way product gets shipped. Now, the intent of the product, you have a 3D model. and that gets, designed, it gets, all the pieces through PLM and all that, and it gets into the process. What happens today is because of the silos organizationally, either being, different pieces of the organization or different companies, you will always run into technologies or systems and processes which cannot accept this form of digital input. So somewhere in this process, somebody has to convert it to a 2D, two-dimensional model. So now you went what I call from a 21st century to a Stone Age, because you do have, if you see clearly, the dimensions in there, but now you lost all that rich information as somewhere part of the process, and either you end up re-entering the information down the stream to make it work, or it continues as a document and it creates some of the challenges, and that relates to, cost. So things like scrap, rework, you don't know, the design met the quality specification. So there's a lot of, things that you can look at. The other will be loss of time. So the time to market overall, you just introduce these latency in the processes that drives slower time to market. And more importantly, your employees are frustrated and overloaded. And what I like to call non-value added work means they're spending time on things like logging into multiple systems, or in this case, literally keying in the data, or trying to simulate information from Excel into system, really first takes away their key job, which is to work either in manufacturing or engineering. But more importantly, that really burns them down. So this has, an overall impact in your overall margin, because they all add up to your profit margin. But more importantly, also, your employee productivity morale, which is key part of the manufacturing. So what is a digital thread? So, if you Google the word, you will see a lot of definitions. Just to think about it, it's not one system. Digital thread is a way of communicating a framework between systems and machines in a manufacturing process. So from a 3D model into the design, where typically PLM is, into manufacturing and so forth, so that it is in the digital instructions that can be 3D models, it can be manufacturing process instructions and things like that. And it seamlessly gets communicated either within organizations, within departments, within companies, or within systems. So you don't end up in situations where your factory just stopped because they could not accept the design file from your customer or from your partner or from within your organization. And this also allows you to really do some digital prototyping or catch these deviations early, so that as you go through the life cycle, you're taking these out, which typically impacts obviously cost, but also time to market. So let's look at what can you do today. So when I talked to, as Rob was saying earlier, I talked to a lot of customers and partners, and there's a lot of set of tools on the mechanical side or the electrical side. And the reasons for these different tools have multiple, entry points. Either customers I've seen have complex products in one CAD tool versus other, or they got through an M&A, or, there was other partner reasons, customer. So they have an, set of tools. They also have set of technologies. There's a sample that they do things. They're disconnected, but it works because they're still, shipping products. The other fact is that the engineers, mechanical, electrical, love their tools. They don't want to give it up for one versus the other, or want to, get into something like PLM. They want to work in the environment and let the rest of the processes should work out the way it should be. Now, if you look on the right side, which is the extended enterprise, either internally or externally, depending on the industry, you have folks in the manufacturing, quality, service, supply chain, and others who do need this data for different reasons. And so what happens is they really don't know where the data is coming from, because they don't have the accurate representation of digital thread. Because if they had, let's say, Creo or SolidWorks or Siemens or all of the above, and the products are created, by the time it goes through the sausage making, and somebody, let's say in procurement, who wants to really say, look at their consolidate their buying, they will get to the information, but it is very hard and complex. And that has an impact on what I'll call the leaky pipe. So from a business perspective, there's a business plan for product launches. And if you plan for, let's say, 2 drops of margins, by the time it comes out on the other side, you really get 1. And if you look at why it's happening, is because you're doing proliferations, it's associated with cost, scrap, rework time, and supply visits. All add up because of the disconnected nature of the way how the digital supply chain works, and there's no single truth in terms of digital thread. So what we can do today is keep your tools, which your engineers love. However, you don't want to do that, because this is where you introduce multiple version of digital thread or incomplete version of digital thread, where the product conceptualized, right? This is where the product is introduced for the digital supply chain. So we have customers who use Windchill today, be the digital source for bill of materials, change, and so on and so forth. Windchill has multi-CAD data capabilities, so you can continue to use your CAD tool. However, once you come to Windchill, you can basically aggregate your product data independent of your CAD tool, but obviously connected from a relationship perspective. But if you look outside of the engineering team, now you have the product data that can be available in various forms, in case you can use something like Navigate for manufacturing or quality or service and supply chain. So now they can have the access to the data, timely information that they can make decisions. So why do you think these folks care, in terms of being able to access the data? So let's kind of walk through it. So from a manufacturing perspective, it is important that manufacturing has timely access to the product and design, so they can really plan their manufacturing processes, toolings, and all that stuff that's required to be able to ship the product on time. Otherwise, you will have what we call first-pass yield problems. So every time you hit manufacturing, it really didn't meet what the manufacturing could actually do, and you have to go back and change the product. Also, early visibility and collaboration. So it is important that either your internal manufacturing or if you have a contract manufacturing, able to go back and forth and say, hey, this is what we're working on, and get their input will allow you to really reap the benefit. On the quality side, similar goals, able to have access, provide feedback, even give input on supply risk or supply chain risk or product risk, alternate parts, things like that, so they can make the change early in the process. There was a study done a few years ago by DARPA, the government agency, and they looked at the cost associated with changing a product design late in the cycle. By the time you hit, for example, ERP, it's very expensive. So we want to go up in the design phase to really make any of the changes, quality and manufacturing. Service, it depends on the industry. So if you have, large equipment, you want to make sure that your service is ready for the new products being launched, and that can be IoT based if you have those capabilities, but also provide feedback around product issue, around some of the challenges they're seeing in the field that may warrant a product change. Last but not least is the supply chain, right? So again, looking at what's being built, so especially something like in high tech, where it's a very mix of OEMs and contract manufacturing or A&D, where the government or agencies are working with the suppliers, or even automotive. If you bring that supply chain together, you can get to things like supply chain risk around obsolescence, product change notifications, single vendor risk into the decision. So how do you do that, and how does it relate to product digital threads? So, for example, you can today, what I showed in the previous slide, by able to multi-CAD strategy or multi-CAD solution from PTC, bring your CAD data into Windchill, do your design, and then use something like Navigate or ThingWorks or other solution to provide like manufacturing works instructions to your manufacturing folks, or parts catalog or service instruction. And it is important because now you are providing actionable product-related data to various organizations and key stakeholders in your company or outside your organization that are important to get to the the product. So there's a customer PTC customer as part of the high tech. They are on this journey where they're looking at single product data from a 3D model, bill of materials assemblies. They're doing 3D collaborations, and as you can see in the bottom, they had significant impact on the overall design cycle time, as well as in what it took to approve the product in terms of how long it's between the different stakeholders and the company. So I think that is the end of my slides, Rob. So we can open up for question. I'm like 2 minutes early, maybe a minute early, but we can take questions or maybe talk about your offer in terms of helping the customers out.
Early is good, Swapan.
Yeah.
If you're more efficient, that's what we're about, more efficiency. We say 30 minutes and we're done in maybe 10 less or 5 less. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions, please type those into the dashboard. And if you could swap and put up my your contact information, my contact info.
I'm trying to get to the slide. Somehow it locked me out, but I'm trying to do it.
Uh-oh.
Technology difference. All right, so why don't we talk about your offer, and I'm trying to see if I can get to the
sure.
next slide.
So, I mean, basically, it's what we want to do is we want to help companies. Ultimately, our goal is to help people live better lives. I mean, that might sound kind of like, well, what the heck does that mean? Well, if we can help you on a daily basis do your job so that you're happier and you like going to work a little bit better because things are running a little more smoothly, it's like this week, right? This is a short month, December, and it seems like everything's falling apart this week, and there's a lot of things happening and a lot of unexpected things happening for me personally. But when not everything is falling apart and things are running more smoothly, of course you're more focused. So if we can help our customers be more efficient and help them reach their goals and their business objectives, then we're doing our job, and then you can worry about other problems that might be going on with your business, but not, limit the ones that might be happening in manufacturing. So we offer a 1-hour free consultation to look at the status of your digital thread and your manufacturing processes, starting with design and your ideas, going all the way through manufacturing, as well as product support and end of life cycle for products. So we can help fix those holes that Swapan was talking about, the digital holes that are in the digital thread. And we've increased efficiencies from 27% on higher in the overall process. And for one customer, they had a specific initiative where they wanted to double the amount of products, new products that they introduced on a monthly basis. And we were able to help them accomplish this. And this company was named for 3 years in a row the fastest growing company in the state of New Jersey. And we're pretty proud that we've been able to help this company. And called Rab Lighting, since they are a very good customer of ours. But we're very, very glad that we could help them achieve their goals. And we have a whole host of other customers that we've been able to help as well. And, it all starts with a conversation. It doesn't hurt to just have a conversation for an hour and see if we can be of some service to you. So with that swap, and I'm going to, I guess we can either end the webinar.
Yeah.
Or if you have anything else.
So I think my last parting comment will be, I think the moment is here in terms of digital transformation and digital thread. If you read any of the analyst reports, I think a significant amount, north of 70% manufacturers are looking at it or doing something about it. So it's also, if you're not embarking on this journey, there's a risk in terms of, digitally born companies who will be coming out and taking market share from folks. So I think it is important to start looking at, and I think Rob and his team can help you with that, right? And Rob, maybe you can, because since I cannot flip the slide, give your information so they can reach out to you.
So my contact information, you could call me. My phone number is 610-590-1089. That's my direct office line. Email is my first initial last name, rromanowski@3hti.com. You can find my profile on LinkedIn. And as Swapan said, I mean, what we're starting to see with our customers is there's definitely a strong movement towards these digital transformation strategies and a strategy around the digital thread. Because, like you just mentioned, Swapan, there's a lot of newer companies or even older companies that are immersing themselves in Industry 4.0 and these processes, and they are going to start. There's really going to be a separation over the next few years between customers that are adopting this and or businesses that are adopting this and businesses that are not. So it's good. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens, and I think it's very exciting what's going on in manufacturing and technologies, more efficiencies. I really see the ability to make a much better product, increasing efficiencies, not just being in the industry, but also as a consumer, seeing, interesting new technologies affecting products that are being made today.
I agree. So, unless there's any question, we can end the webinar, and I'm sure people can reach out to you and I over the phone or by email.
Yeah, feel free to call us, email us. You can also respond to the email that I sent you. You can just hit reply. It'll come directly to me, whether it, whether it shows that it came from GoToMeeting as a reminder, anything that you respond to as far as the webinar invitations or reminders, if you reply, they'll come directly to me. So with that, we will give you 7 minutes of your day back to increase efficiency there. So I want to thank Swapan for being on today and leading the presentation for us. And we will have another presentation on the digital thread and focusing on digital transformation in either late January or February, as we're going to continue this ongoing. As this is a pretty hot topic for a lot of manufacturing businesses. So once again, Swapan, thank you for being on, and we're going to dismiss everybody. Enjoy your weekend and have a great holiday season. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Yeah, thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
All right.